are you all? Hope you are doing well at home, enjoying your quarantine holidays. I hope you all remember me. Let me introduce myself once again. My name is Priyanka. And students, congratulations to you all for being promoted in class 6. Okay. Students, today we will learn about computer languages. Okay. This is the first topic of yours in computer. Okay. Computer languages of class 6. Okay. Today we will learn computer language. So students, I will tell you the contents of this topic. What are we going to study today? Okay. So let's move to the contents of this topic. So students, in this topic, the contents are: first, we will learn about language. Okay. First, you have to know what is a language. What do you mean by language? So first of all, we will study about language. Okay. Then we will move to computer language. What is computer language? Okay. After that, we will learn low-level language, in which machine language and assembly language is included in low-level language. Okay. After that, we will learn high-level language. Okay. Then we will learn about compiler and interpreter. About compiler and interpreter. Then we will come to fourth generation language, that is 4GLS, fourth generation languages. Okay. First in part 1, we will only learn up to low level language. Okay. We will learn up to only low level language, the machine language and the assembly language. Okay. In this part 1, I will teach you till low level language. Again in part 2, we will continue with the high level language, the compiler, interpreter and the fourth generation languages. Okay. So now let's move to language. Let me teach you what is language. Okay. So students, let's begin with language. About language. Okay, first you know what is language. What do you mean by language? Okay, you know what is language? You know? The way you speak, isn't it? The way you speak, the language you speak, that is language, through which you can make one understand what are you trying to say. Okay. So let me read out what it is written in the slide. Language is a medium of exchanging opinions, belief, knowledge and commands. What is knowledge? Knowledge is a medium of exchanging opinions, belief, knowledge and commands. Okay. Then we use a language to express our thoughts and exchange ideas. Since a computer is an electronic machine and it does not understand the language that we speak, that we human beings speak, so to communicate with the computer, we use a language that must be understandable by the computer. Okay? What is a language? Language is a medium of exchanging your opinions, your beliefs, your knowledge and commands. Okay, it is a medium of exchanging. If you want to make someone understand, how will you make one understand what are you trying to say? With the help of language that you speak. Yes or no? The language that you speak at home with your friends, with your family members, that is language. Okay. The language which I am speaking with you now, which language is that? That is English language. Yes or no? And it is understandable by you because you know about this language. Yes or no? At home, you speak your local language. That is the what? That is the medium of exchanging your your belief, your knowledge, and your commands. Okay, what do you mean by belief? Belief is accepting something that exists. Okay, something that exists, that is belief. Knowledge, the knowledge that you have, and if you want to share your knowledge with someone, how will you share? You will share through a medium of exchange, and that is what? That is language. Now I am teaching you, I am exchanging my medium of opinions or knowledge. Anything I am exchanging with you or not? The knowledge I am exchanging with you, and I am exchanging with the help of a language. And which language I am using? I am using English language. Yes or no? That is language. Language is a medium of exchanging opinions, belief, knowledge, and commands. Understood? Now, we use language to express our thoughts and ideas. Okay, for example, see, now I am trying to teach you something. What am I trying? I am trying to exchange my thoughts, and I am trying to exchange my ideas with you. Yes or no? Then for that, what do I need? I need a language to communicate with you, to talk with you. Yes or no? That is a language. We use a language to express our thoughts and exchange ideas. Okay. Since computer is a machine. Computer is what? It is a machine. Yes or no? It is a machine. And a machine does not understand what we human beings speak. A machine does not understand what we human beings speak. A machine does not understand our language. It does not understand Hindi, Marwari, English, or except something like that. Okay? It does not understand this language. So what does it need? It needs a machine language. Okay? It needs a machine language so that we can communicate with the computer with the use of a language that is understandable by a computer. That a computer can understand a language. Okay? Now, let us move to computer language. Now, let me tell you what is computer language. I hope you understand what is the meaning of language. Language is a medium of exchanging opinions, beliefs, ideas, knowledge, anything that you have. Okay. Now, let's move to computer language. What is computer language? Okay. So students, let us read out what it is written in the slide. Computer language. Computer language is a representation of sequence of instructions known as program. What is a computer language? It is a representation of sequence of instructions. The instructions that we give to a computer to work. Okay. It is a sequence of representation of instructions. The instructions, the commands that we give to a computer to work. Okay? Collection of a program constitute a software. And collection of a program is known as what? It is known as software. Okay? Then a programming language is a formal computer language or constructed language designed to communicate instructions to a machine, particularly a computer. Okay? Computer language is a representation of sequence instruction. The instructions that we give to a computer in a sequence order, it is a representation that it is given into a computer. And this computer language is known as program. The representation of sequence of instruction is known as what? It is known as program. Okay. And the collection of this program makes a software. The collection of a program, it constitutes a software. Okay. How is a software constituted? How is a software made? Software is made with the collection of programs. And what is a program? The Representation of sequence of instruction is a program. Understood? Now, a programming language. Computer understand which language? Computer understands a programming language. Okay. What language is understood by the computer? Which language? It is programming language. Programming language is a formal computer language that a computer understands, or it is a constructed language designed to communicate instructions to a machine, particularly a computer. Okay, a programming language is a formal computer language which is designed or constructed to communicate with a computer, a machine. Okay, since computer is a machine and it does not understand the language that we speak, that is why to make a computer understand what we are trying to communicate with the computer, we use a programming language. Okay, and what is program? Program is a representation of sequence of instruction. Okay, and the collection of a program constitute a software. Understood? This is computer language. What language does computer use? Computer use a programming language. Okay? Now let us move to the categories of computer language. What are the categories of computer language? Okay? So students, what are the categories of computer language? The categories of computer language are low level language and high level language. Okay? Computer language is divided into two parts. How many parts? Computer language is divided into two parts. That is low level language and high level language. Okay? And this low level language is divided into further two parts. That is machine language and assembly language. Okay? These are the categories of computer language. Okay? First, computer language are divided into two categories. That is low level language and high level language. Okay? And this low level language is further divided into machine language and assembly language. Okay? This low level language is further divided into machine language and assembly language. Okay? Now, in this part 1, we will only study till low level language. What is low level language? Okay? Now, let us move to low level language. Okay? So, now students, what is low level language? Of both the categories, low level language are understood by the computer. These languages are close to computers' hardware and are also referred as native languages. The word low refers to the small or non-existing amount of abstraction between the language and machine language. Writing programs in low-level language is very difficult. The two types of low-level language are machine language and assembly language. Now, what is low-level language? Okay, of both the categories like low-level language and high-level language, of these both categories, low-level language are understood by the computer. From both the categories, low-level and high-level languages, these low-level languages are understood by the computer. Which language are understood? Low-level language is understood by the computer. Okay? These languages are close to computers' hardware. These languages are close to computer hardware and also referred as native language. What do you mean by native? Native means designed for or built to give or built into a given system, specially denoting the language associated with a given processor, computer or compiler and programs written in it. Native means which was previously already written for a program. Native means the previously written language for a program, that is native language. Okay, I will repeat the meaning again of native. Native language is designed for or built into a given system, especially denoting the language associated with a given processor, computer or compiler and programs written in it. It is a previously designed or written program given to a computer. Okay, the language that is previously already given to a computer, by which a computer can understand the language by which we are trying to instruct a computer. Understood? And these languages are close to computers' hardware. What do you mean by hardware? Hardware are the components of computer that you can touch or you can work with. Okay, those are hardware like keyboard, mouse, CPU. These are what? These are hardware of a computer system. Okay, then the word low refers to small or non-existing amount of abstraction. This word low, it refers to small or non-existing amount of abstraction between the language and the machine language. What do you mean by abstraction? Abstraction is the process of taking away or removing characteristics from something in order to reduce it to a set of essential characteristics. What is abstraction? It is a process of taking away or removing some characters from something, from a computer or from something in order to reduce it to essential characteristic, in order to make it more essential. That is abstraction. The language that is understood by the computer to make it more understandable. Okay, this word low is referred. Low level language. From the word itself you can understand, right? Low level language. It is a very low level language that a computer can understand. Understood? This level is understandable by a computer. So the instructions that we give to a computer using this low level language, a computer can understand very easily. Okay? Now, writing programs in low level language is very difficult. But writing programs in low level language is very difficult. Okay, we cannot write programs in low level language easily. It is very difficult. Why? We will learn in the next subcontent. Okay. Now the types of low level languages are machine language and assembly language. Okay. Now we will move to machine language. What is machine language? Okay. So students, what is machine language? The machine language is the fundamental computer language that is expressed in zeros and ones. What is machine language? It is a fundamental computer language. Fundamental means the basic computer language that is expressed in zeros and ones. Okay, only two values are used to express this machine language, that is 0 and 1. Okay, and this machine language is the fundamental language of machine. okay, of a computer. It is a fundamental language of a computer, this machine language, okay, and it use only two values, that is 0 and 1, okay, where 0 represent the off state and 1 represent the on state. Okay, it is a machine language which use only two values, that is 0 and 1, where 0 represent the off state of a machine and 1 represent the on state of a machine. Okay, it is known as binary language. It is known as what? It is known as binary language. Okay, students, what is a binary language? A binary code represents text, computer processor instructions, or any other data using two-symbol system. This binary language, it use only two code to represent a text or computer processor instructions or any other data using only two symbol system, that is 0 and 1. Okay, that is 0 and 1. This binary system, this binary language use only two values, that is 0 and 1, to represent a text or computer processing instructions or any other data into a computer. It use only two values, that is 0 and 1. That is why this machine language is known as binary language, and there are only two values, that is 0 and 1. Okay, for example, in binary system in a computer, if we represent something in binary system, for example, it is given there, see, if 4 is represented as 100, then 5 will be represented as 101 in binary system. Okay, in binary system, 4 is represented as 100 and 5 is represented as 101, that is 101. Okay, so we use only two values in this machine language, that is 0 and 1, and this machine language follows the binary language of a computer. It use only two code, that is 0 and 1, and these two codes are known as binary codes. 0 and 1 are known as binary code of a computer, through which a computer can understand the instructions that we are trying to give into a computer. Okay, and this binary language or binary code is a low level language. Okay, now let us move to the characteristic features of this machine language. What are the characteristic features of this machine language? Okay, now students, what are the characteristic features of this machine language? See, it is written there, point number 1. Programs written in machine language performs very fast and instructions are executed directly by the central processing unit, that is CPU. Okay, the programs that we write in this machine language performs very fast. It is very fast in performing. Okay, any kind of program that we write in this machine language, it performs very fast. Why? Because the instructions are executed directly in the CPU. The instructions that we give to a computer to perform any program is performed very fast because it execute directly in CPU, in the central processing unit. Okay, that is why the programs that we perform in machine language is very fast. Okay, then secondly, the major disadvantage of machine language is that it is very difficult to learn all the codes. There is also some disadvantage. It is very difficult to learn all the codes in this machine language. Okay, It is very difficult to learn all the binary codes in machine language. It is not that easy. Okay? Then the another disadvantage of this language is that machine language is machine dependent. This machine language is only machine dependent. Okay? Which means a program developed using one machine may not run into another machine. It means that the language that is the program that is done in this machine language may not be used in some another machine. The another disadvantages of this language is that machine language is machine dependent. That means it is a particular machine dependent. Suppose if you are programming some programs in one computer machine, that program will run in that computer machine only. It cannot run in the another computer. Okay, so this is the disadvantage of this machine language. Though we can perform a program very fast in this machine language, but it has some disadvantages, and the major disadvantage is that it is very difficult to learn all the code in this machine language. The code language is very difficult to understand, okay, by a programmer to learn. Then another disadvantage is that this language is machine dependent. Machine dependent means it only depends on a particular machine in which it is working. It will not work into another machine if we transfer some program from one machine to another machine. Okay, so these are the characteristic features of this machine language. Okay, now let us move to the assembly language. What is assembly language? Okay, now students, let us learn what is assembly language. Okay, an assembly language is a programming language with a strong abstraction from the details of the computer. Assembly language is a this assembly language is also a programming language. Okay, computer only understands programming language. Okay, computer does not understand any other language. It only understands which language? Programming language. And assembly language is a programming language with a strong abstraction from the details of computer. Now, what did I told you about abstraction? What is abstraction? It is the process of taking away or removing characters from something in order to reduce it to a set of essential characteristics. Okay, this abstraction is the process of taking away or removing some characters from a computer in order to reduce it to a set of essential characters. Okay, to reduce it in some essential characteristics into a computer so that a computer can understand the language more easily. Okay, this language is a programming language with a strong abstraction from the details of the computer. It takes all the details of the computer and it reduces it into more efficient, into more essential characteristic form. Okay, so that a computer can understand the language easily. Okay, and assembly language is another low level programming language. This assembly language is also a low level language, programming language, in which instructions are written using words known as mnemonics. This assembly language is a low level language in which the instructions that are written is written with the by the use of mnemonics. It is written there in the bold letters. See, mnemonics, Yes, mnemonics. What is mnemonics? What do you mean by mnemonics? Mnemonics are the study and development of system for improving and assisting the memory. Okay, mnemonics are the study and development of system for improving and assisting the memory of a computer. We use mnemonics in this assembly language to use this mnemonics to give instructions to the computer. Okay. Now, for example, what is mnemonic? See, for example, code for addition is written as add, A-double-D, add. This add is a mnemonic for the code addition. This addition is a code and A-double-D, add is a mnemonic. Okay, this is how a computer can understand which instruction to be performed. What instructions are we giving to the computer and what will it perform? If you ask the computer to add, it will not subtract your instruction. It will add only. Understood? Then it is written, code for subtraction is written as sub, S-U-B. Code for subtraction is written as sub. Writing programs in machine language is much easier than writing in assembly language is much easier than writing in machine language. Writing program in this assembly language is easier than writing in machine language because machine language only uses codes, only two values, that is 0 and 1, and it was very difficult to understand. Since this machine language used only two codes, okay, to give any kind of instruction into the computer, and it was very difficult to understand those codes. But in this assembly language, these uses mnemonics, and it was very easier to understand by the computer to work. Okay. Writing programs in this assembly language was more easier than writing in the machine language. Why? Because assembly language used mnemonics. Okay, the short form of the instructions that you want to operate in a computer. Okay, this assembly language used mnemonics, but machine language used what? It used only codes, the binary codes, and it was very difficult sometimes to understand. All the codes, it was very difficult to understand. Okay? Now, let us move to the characteristic features of this assembly language. Okay? So students, now what are the characteristic features of this assembly language? Okay? Assembly language programs cannot be executed directly by a computer. The programs that are performed in assembly language cannot be directly executed by a computer. What do you mean by execution? Execution means performing something in a planned manner. Okay? You cannot execute a program in a computer. You cannot execute a program written in assembly language directly into a computer. What you need to do? The program written in assembly language first have to be converted into machine language. Okay, the programs that you have written in assembly language has to be converted into machine language, that is into a code language. Why? Because computers understand machine language. Okay, the language that is understood by the computer is machine language. Why? Because computer is also a machine. This assembly language is little bit highly advanced. Okay, that That is why any programs, if you have written in assembly language, first have to be converted into machine language, and this conversion is done by assemblers. Converting this assembly language into machine language is done by whom? Is done by assemblers. Okay. Now what is assembler? Assembler are also known as translator program. Assemblers are also known as translators program, which translate assembly language into machine language. Okay. Translation you know now, right? If you want to translate your English language into your local language, how will you translate? You will translate in your own way. Is it or not? This assemblers does the same way. It is known as translators. Translator program. Okay. Now, this assembler is a program for converting. What is this assembler? Okay. A program for converting instruction written into low-level symbolic code into machine code. This assembly language is written in code. Yes or no? Like add, sub. Yes or no? And machine language is written in code, that is numeric form, 0 and 1, binary code. This assembler converts this symbolic code into machine code. Okay, this symbolic code into machine code. Okay, it takes the basic command and operation from assembly code and converts them into binary code. This assembly code, the mnemonics are converted into binary code. Okay, then that can be recognized by a specific type of processor. That can be recognized by a specific type of processor. The processor that is there inside the computer which need to process some instruction. These assembly language are first converted into machine language so that the processor can understand the language that we are trying to instruct into a computer. Understood? These assemblers are similar to compilers that they produce executable code. These assemblers are also similar to compilers. I will tell you what is compiler afterward. These assemblers are also similar to compilers, okay, which convert the assembly language into machine language. That means the symbolic code into machine code, the binary code. What is machine code? That is binary code. Okay, and in binary code only two values are used, that is 0 and 1. Understood? Now, the original program written in the assembly language is known as the source code. The program that you will write in the assembly language, it is known as source code. The original program that you will write in assembly language, that program is known as source code or source program. Okay, and the translated program in machine language is called as, the translated program in machine language is called as object program or object code. Okay, the language that you will write in the program that you will write in assembly language, it is known as source code or source program. Okay, the original program written in assembly language is known as source code or source program. After being translated into machine language, it becomes what? It becomes object program or object code. First, it is source program or source code when it is written in the assembly language. After being translated into machine language, it becomes object program or object code. Okay, understood? Now, this is the features of this assembly language and this machine language. Understood? Now students, let us revise what we studied now. Okay, what we studied till now, let us revise once. Okay, first we studied about language, isn't it? What do you understand by language? What is a language? Language is a medium of exchanging opinions or beliefs, knowledge or commands. Okay. Language is a medium of exchange through which you can make someone understand what you are trying to say. That is language. And we use language to express our thoughts, emotions, and we use it to exchange our ideas with someone. Okay. We use the help of a language to exchange our thoughts, our beliefs, our ideas with someone. Okay. Since computer is a machine language and it also needs a language to understand what we are instructing a computer to do, it also needs a language, and that language is known as machine language. Okay, we need a machine language to make a computer understand what we are instructing a computer to do. Okay. So to communicate with a language, we use a language that is understandable by a computer. Okay. Now what is computer language? Computer language is a representation of instruction. It is a representation of sequence of instructions. Okay. The instructions that we give into a computer, that is program. Okay, computer language is a presentation of sequence of instruction known as program. The language that we use in computer, it is programming language. Which language we use in computer? We use programming language. Okay, and what is programming language? It is a representation of sequence of instruction. Okay, and this collection of programs constitute a software. What does it constitute? It constitute a software. Okay, then a programming language is a formal computer language or constructed language designed to communicate instructions to a machine, particularly a computer. We use programming language to communicate with a computer. Okay. Then, what are the categories of computer language? There are two categories of computer language, that is low level language and high level language. Today we studied about low level language, and in low level language what did we study? We studied about machine language and assembly language. Yes or no? What is machine language? This machine language of both the categories, this low and high level language, this machine language is the only language that is understood by the computer. Okay, the programs that we do in the computer, we do this in the machine language. Okay, these languages are close to computer hardware. These languages are close to computer hardware. Okay, and also referred as native language. Native language, the language that is already been set up for the computer to understand. That is native language. Then the word low, in low level language, the word low refers to the small or non-existing amount of abstraction between the language and machine language. Okay. Then writing programs in low level language are quite difficult because this use only two. In machine language, writing programs is little bit difficult because it use only two values, that is 0 and 1, and this 0 represents the off state of a computer and 1 represents the on state of a computer, and this 1 and 0 is known as the binary code of a computer. It is known as the binary language. Okay, which use only two values, that is 0 and 1. Okay, and in binary system 4 is represented as 100 and 5 is represented as 101. Okay, these are the binary codes that is written in machine language. Okay, the programs that is written in machine language uses binary codes. Understood? Then what are the characteristics of this machine language? Programs written in machine language performs very fast. The programs that we write in machine language performs very fast. Okay, why? Because these programs are directly executed. These programs are directly performed in a planned manner into a CPU, that is Central Processing Unit. That is why it is very fast to execute. Okay, but there are some disadvantages of machine language, and what is it? That it is very difficult to understand or learn all the codes in the machine language. It is very difficult to learn and understand all the binary codes in machine language. Okay, and other disadvantage of this language is that this is a machine dependent language. This machine language is a machine dependent language. That means a program that you will work in one machine, you cannot work that program into another machine. Okay, it is a machine dependent and it is used only in one machine to work. Okay, then what is assembly language? Assembly language is a programming language with strong abstraction from the details of a computer. Okay, it has a strong abstraction from the details of a computer. Okay, that means setting up some essential characteristics. Okay, then assembly language is another low level programming language in which instructions are written using what? Mnemonics. We can write the instruction in assembly language using mnemonics. Okay, that is code. For example, if you want to write addition, we can write ADD, add. If you want to write subtraction, we can write SUB, sub. Okay, writing program in assembly language is much easier than writing program in assembly language is much easier than writing in the machine language. Okay, we can easily write any kind of program in assembly language much easily rather than in machine language. Okay, now what are the features of this assembly language? Assembly language cannot be executed directly by a computer, but this assembly language cannot be executed directly by a computer, but machine language can be executed directly into a computer. Okay, this assembly language first need to be converted into machine language to be executed into a computer. That means the mnemonic should be converted into the binary code so that the computer will understand and it will perform. Okay, and it will perform our instructions that we have given to the computer. Okay, and to convert this assembly language into machine language, assemblers are used. What do we use? Assemblers, which is also known as translators program. That means these assemblers translate this assembly language into machine language, the mnemonics into binary code form. Okay, then the original program written in assembly language is known as source code or source program. The original program written in assembly language is known as source code or source program. Okay, and when it is converted into machine language, it becomes object code or object program. Okay, the program when we write in assembly language, it is known as source code or source program. After being translated by assemblers into machine language, this source code or source program becomes object code or object program. Understood? So this was all for low level language. Okay, in the next part we will continue with high level language and the the fourth generation language. Okay, so now I will give you some assignments, some questions. You please practice these questions at home. Okay, now let us move to the questions that I have given you. Okay, so students, these are the questions that you practice at home. Okay, you write the answers of these questions. What do you understand by language? Write down the definition of language. Okay, then what is a computer language? Okay, you write the definition of computer language. What are the categories of computer language? I have already told you there are two categories of computer language, that is low level language and high level language. Okay, then you write what is low level language and mention its categories. What is low level language? You write the definition and you mention the categories of low level language, that is machine language and assembly language. Okay, then you write what is machine language, write its features, and you write what is assembly language and also write its features. Okay, so in the next part we will continue with high level language and the fourth generation language. Okay.